I was 33 years old when my father stood up in the middle of Easter dinner, looked me straight in the eyes, and acted like I wasn't his daughter anymore. The room went silent so fast. I could hear the ticking of Grandma's old kitchen clock. Just minutes earlier, everyone had been laughing, passing around plates of ham and potatoes, pretending we were one big, happy family. I should have known it wouldn't last. My dad had spent years treating me like the family disappointment while worshiping my younger brother, Ethan. Then he slammed his fork onto his plate. "Since you clearly don't value this family," he said loudly, "maybe it's time you stop calling yourself part of it." My stomach dropped. "Dad, what are you talking about?" "I'm talking about your selfish choices," he snapped. "From this day forward, don't expect anything from me. Consider yourself disowned." The words hit me like a punch to the chest. Nobody spoke. Not my brother. Not my stepmother. Nobody. I felt every pair of eyes on me as tears burned behind my eyelids. I wanted to defend myself, but the humiliation was too much. Then I noticed Grandma. She hadn't said a single word. Instead, she slowly reached for the small leather purse resting beside her chair. Her face was calm, almost too calm. She opened it carefully and pulled out something folded inside. The moment my father saw what was in her hand, all the color drained from his face. And for the first time that evening, I realized he wasn't the one in control anymore. I watched my father's face turn pale, and suddenly my humiliation wasn't the most shocking thing happening at that table. Grandma unfolded the paper with steady hands. "Mom, don't," my father said quickly. That caught everyone's attention. My father was a man who never backed down from anyone, yet now he sounded nervous. Grandma ignored him. "You've spent years telling lies," she said quietly, "and I'm tired of listening to them." The room felt smaller with every second. My stepmother looked confused. Ethan stopped eating. I could barely breathe. "What lies?" I asked. Grandma looked at me, and the sadness in her eyes broke my heart. "The lies about why your father pushed you away." My father stood up so fast his chair scraped across the floor. "That's enough." "No," Grandma replied. "It's long overdue." She handed me the folded document. My hands trembled as I opened it. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then I saw my name, my full name, and beneath it was a bank account statement I had never seen before. There were deposits stretching back nearly 20 years, thousands and thousands of dollars. "What is this?" I whispered. Grandma took a deep breath. "It's the education fund your mother left for you before she died." I froze. My mother had passed away when I was 12. Dad had always told me she left nothing behind. I slowly raised my eyes toward him. He couldn't even look at me. And that's when I realized the man who had just disowned me wasn't protecting the family's secret. He was hiding what he had stolen from me. What Grandma revealed next was even worse. The air in the room felt heavy as I stared at the bank statement in my hands. "Stolen?" I whispered. "Dad, tell me she's wrong." But he stayed silent. That silence told me more than any excuse ever could. Grandma slowly removed another envelope from her purse. "I kept copies of everything," she said, "because I always feared this day would come." My father's jaw tightened. Inside the envelope were letters, account records, and legal documents. Piece by piece, the truth came spilling out in front of everyone. When my mother was dying, she had set aside a substantial fund for my future. It was supposed to help pay for college, a home, or whatever dreams I wanted to pursue. But after her death, my father gained control of the money, and he never told me it existed. Instead, he repeatedly claimed there wasn't enough money for college. I took out loans. I worked night shifts. I struggled for years while believing we were barely getting by. Meanwhile, according to the records, thousands of dollars from my fund had been transferred elsewhere. My brother Ethan looked stunned. "Dad, you used her money?" My father's face turned red. "It stayed in the family," he muttered. The words hit me like a slap. "Stayed in the family?" I was family. Then Ethan quietly asked the question nobody else dared to ask. "Did you use it for me?" The silence that followed was devastating. My stepmother covered her mouth. Grandma closed her eyes, and my father couldn't deny it. For years, he'd paid for Ethan's private school, his car, and part of his business using money meant for me, the same daughter he had just publicly disowned. I felt anger replacing the hurt. For the first time in my life, I wasn't ashamed or broken. Because while my father thought he had humiliated me at Easter dinner, he had no idea that Grandma had already prepared the evidence that would destroy everything he had built on lies. And the consequences were about to arrive much sooner than he expected. My father still tried to defend himself. "You don't understand," he said, looking around the table. "I did what was best for the family. For the family." I couldn't believe he was still saying those words after everything that had just come out. Grandma slowly stood up from her chair. "No," she said firmly. "You did what was best for yourself." Then she revealed the final piece of the truth. Months before Easter, she had taken the documents to an attorney. Every bank transfer had been reviewed. Every record had been verified. She hadn't come to dinner hoping for an apology. She had come prepared. My father stared at her in disbelief. "What did you do?" Grandma looked him directly in the eye. "I corrected a wrong." She handed me another envelope. Inside was a legal settlement agreement. The attorney had already contacted my father weeks earlier. Faced with overwhelming evidence, he had agreed to repay every dollar taken from my fund rather than face a lawsuit that could expose everything publicly. My hands shook as I read the amount. It was more money than I had ever imagined having. Years of stolen opportunities were finally being returned. The room was silent. Then Ethan surprised everyone. He stood up and looked at me. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't know." For the first time, I believed him. My father opened his mouth to speak, but nobody was listening anymore. Not Ethan, not my stepmother, not even Grandma. The authority he had used to control our family for years vanished right in front of him. A few months later, I paid off my student loans completely. I bought my first home. More importantly, I stopped chasing my father's approval. The man who disowned me at Easter lost something far more valuable than money. He lost the respect of the people who loved him. As for Grandma, she quietly changed my life with a purse full of truth. And that Easter, the daughter my father tried to throw away finally got justice. Not through revenge, through the truth he spent 20 years trying to hide.